everybody. Today we have somebody very interesting. This is Manas, who is a special contributor to the MBAEx batch of 16, that is class of 23 in IIM Calcutta, and the interesting reason is he calls himself a full stack consultant. Whatever that is, we'll learn from Manas. So before that, Manas, just let's know a little bit about yourself.
Hello ma'am. So I'm Manas Saraswat, and I have 7 years of working experience in mainly consulting and analytics. So before coming into the program, I was working with Gartner as a principal. So which is basically a internal business consultant role, wherein I was actually generating insights on data. So I was working with the content team, which is basically the research that Gartner writes. Trying to enhance that to make it better, and using analytics to derive insights and then report those insights to the senior leadership. So that we know what content is working and what content is not working with our target audience. So before Gartner, I was with EY for about 5 years. So that is where the major chunk of my work is at EY. So I did multiple jobs at EY, which were mostly into analytics. So initially I started off doing financial analytics, where I was helping companies which are listed in the US. So they need to periodically tie out their financial statements. So we automated that process for them using scripting. So I did that for a bunch of time, and then I moved into another project, which was overhauling the marketing strategy for a top luxury automobile maker. And we were basically helping them improve the customer retention across their dealerships in India. So yeah, that is about my EY stint, and then now here I am
in IIM Calcutta.
In IIM Calcutta, yes.
Great. What is full stack consulting, which I think is your own terminology? Which a true consultant is always good at producing terminologies. Over to you.
So when I was thinking about what my job is and what I've done, so I came up with this term, full stack consultant. Full stack essentially is basically we have full stack developers. So software developers who are trained in developing the front end of an applications that the client sees. So maybe like we have Microsoft Word, right? So what we see is the front end, and then there is a back end where all of the heavy lifting is happening, back end application. So someone who can do both of those jobs are highly desirable in the market. They're the top level software developers, so they call them full stack developers.
I see.
So I was thinking about what I've done so far in my career, and so I started off learning analytics. I self-taught myself machine learning. I built models. I did business consulting in EY, as I was talking about, and Gartner as well. I learned how to do automations. So, and then I moved up into using those skill sets to then drive insights and deliver to my clients and the senior leadership, like I was talking about. So I coined it as I was an analytics practitioner before, but now I am a full stack consultant, where I use that knowledge combined with problem solving, communication, data visualization, building better mental models to deliver insights and drive business decisions for leadership or for my clients. So that's what I feel that full stack consulting is, and we also have like a lot of companies these days. So you would have heard about this company called Latent View Analytics. It's a company which recently had their IPO. So they're essentially an analytics solutions provider. And they do AI and machine learning as well. And what they do is they use these capabilities they also have an arm of business consulting. So they use their capabilities to drive business consulting as well. So they help their clients not only implement, but build these technologies as well. So they're sort of like a full stack company in that sense.
I see. Oh wow, from full stack consulting to full stack companies.
Yes, and even major players like BCG or McKinsey, even BCG has an arm called BCG Gamma. So they build their AI models, they do the implementation for their clients, but they use the power of the human resource that they have and the consulting arm that they had, they combined both of those and they called it VCG Gamma, and now they drive a completely new vertical of analytics consulting.
Wow.
McKinsey has the same, it's called Quantum Black at McKinsey.
It's called, sorry,
Quantum Black.
Quantum Black,
Quantum
okay.
Black. So all of these companies are using the power of machine learning and AI to drive value for their clients in the industry. But as we know, ma'am, for AI to work well, we need a lot of data, and everybody is aware of big data. Everybody's aware of big data. Everybody's talking about big data. If we have big data, we can drive new insights. We can even build new business models completely.
Sure.
But the problem with big data is that it's big. So, a good AI model needs a lot of data. So the more the data, the better the model will be. But big data means billions of line items. So that data is big, means really big. But we don't have that. For one big data set, like for example, if we have a data set of 1 billion line items, we would have 1,000 or 100,000 data sets of which have 1 million line items. And then maybe 1 million data sets which have 1,000 line items. So big data is very hard to get, it is costly to get, and only a few companies are able to generate that sort of big data and store. So think of companies like the FANGs.
The FANGs, yeah.
So they control most of the big data. So how do we get around that? So what we need to now do is, and this is an up and coming thing, which I think might take hold in the future, is we need to build capabilities into our AI models or our machine learning models to start learning from small data.
I see. Small data.
Yes.
What is small data?
So small data is exactly opposite of big data, where I don't have a data set which has 1 billion lines. I have a data set, let's say, which has 10,000 lines or 1,000 lines. How do I now use this data set to drive value for my client? Let's say I was doing a job where I'm tying, or like I was talking about, tying out financials, and we were trying to automate using scripts. But we can also deploy an AI model which learns and automates the process itself on ground. So they don't need to come to us. We can build an AI model for them, and it will automate the tying out of the financials for the company at their end itself. But the data set there is very small. How do we teach that AI or that machine learning model to actually function correctly? That's the issue. So what happens is, if I train a data set on a small data set, there's a problem called overfitting, so where it learns the data too well, and now it can't generalize on unseen data. So that is a big issue. So what research is happening, so I think Google Brain used their multimodal, they have this AI model. They trained it on several large data sets simultaneously, and then they trained it on a small data set, and they saw that the performance improved. It's not significant, but research is now happening like this to prove that it can happen. And now we're at a stage where technology can start moving towards building deep neural networks, which is basically a machine learning algorithm. To do transfer learning. So for example, like I was talking about, let's say I train an AI model to tie out financial data. And now I have another AI model which has been trained on another data set. So how can I use these two learnings and combine them together? Or for example, if I have one model trained to detect images of a cat.
Of a cat.
So now it's very narrow. I give it an image, it will just tell me it's a cat or not. So it's very narrow. But how can I use this knowledge which is already embedded into this model to drive a different model? Can I train this exact same model on new data? That is what's called transfer learning, and this is where research is happening. And if this succeeds, we can start looking into problems of today, automating some of the jobs, many structured jobs that we have. For example, let's take accounting, for example. So that the whole accounting process, we have an accountant who has to sit with all the financials and all and tie out all of those. So those jobs can be automated. Think of maybe document review or proofreading.
Wow, even proofreading.
Proofreading can be automated completely using AI. So I think this is where the industry will move and research will move. But right now we have stopgap solutions to do all of these things. So people have tried to do RPA, robotic process automation, to automate some of these more smaller and structured tasks, so that human capital can be better deployed to do better jobs, to think about better solutions. So I think AI in the future will help us do that much faster and much better.
Wow, Manas, this is really, really good, right? I learned a lot of stuff. Full stack consulting companies, and this was interesting. Small data. You should do podcasts on this, right? Wish you all the best, right? And as you move into the data world more and more, I hope you are able to get into more transfer learning, and these kinds of things that you've been talking about is realized more efficiently, right? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.